So the Saudi AON controversy has really been blowing up online. You can really tell everybody's absolutely surprised and devastated that this presumed high-value woman who was giving great advice to women and men alike actually turned out to be an unhinged side chick who was saying horrible things to the fiance of the man that she was cheating with.
What are you going to do about it? I'll suck his dick if you have an attitude, and I can do it today if I want to.
Go on.
And I can do it on your wedding day and your birthday.
Okay, well, we'll see.
After. Okay. I've been in situations where he's been with you in a social setting.
As well as saying absolutely horrible things like we're going to be seeing today to people online who would call her out on her BS. She's like, it's too much for you because you're a cheap and entitled tramp. What the fuck? And let's not forget the fact that it's been proven that this woman has been faking the fact that she's a licensed therapist. More on this later. And here's the thing. Lots of you have been saying that people are taking it way too far, that it's not that big of a deal.
Guys, am I missing something? Why is everyone hating on Saudi AON?
But actually, I think it's the opposite. I actually think it's a way bigger deal than people want to recognize. And it's not even the side chick thing. The side chick thing is important, but it is secondary when you compare it to everything else.
Do it on your wedding day and your birthday.
Okay, well, we'll see.
After.
It is quite scandalous. That's why it's been going so viral, more so than the other stuff that I think is way more important. And it would make me at least not take her seriously at all whatsoever for life advice, because I would not want coaching or therapy or advice from anybody that acts that way and that treats other people like that and that even values herself so little to be someone's side chick to begin with. But I don't think it necessarily makes everything that she has ever said invalid. I still think she has some good points and she has given some good advice.
I work with lots of mistresses, and what I find that girls that choose to be mistress, the psychology of the woman that actually goes on to be a mistress is she usually has a really intense trust issues, and those mistresses, they don't trust men. They think men are going to cheat. So I'd rather know who he's cheating with and what time. So I'd rather know, and they are so much calmer. I'll meet mistresses and they're so much calmer with when he's there, when she's the mistress than when he becomes a husband. The moment he becomes a husband, she doesn't trust him anymore. She's like, I know what used to happen when you used to sneak out to the car and make phone calls. I know what happens when you go on business trips. I used to be with you. So she becomes anxious again. She's like, I was so much happier when I would know by 8 o'clock he's with his wife, he's putting the kids to bed. I know where he is. He ain't going nowhere.
And she did say in the AON Preach interview that it's not actually what people think. I mean, what is she gonna say? And that it was all in 2021 and that she has nothing to do with any of that anymore. So, you know, people could have been in situations like that in the past and they could have outgrown that. I'm not really a firm believer in that. Like, I do think if you're that kind of a person, sure, some people may change and you can give them second opportunities, but I always keep that in mind that they're probably not the best kind of people if they're willing to do that to begin with. But let's do give her the benefit of the doubt and say, you know, maybe she did make this mistake in 2021 and she was someone's side chick and she said these horrible things to this woman that she claims knew about everything that was going on and it has completely left all of this behind, is married, has moved on, has nothing to do with this. Again, for someone like me, I would never take her seriously again, but I do recognize it's not the end of be all and her advice could still be somewhat valid for people who would still take her seriously, which I'm sure there are many, given the kind of comments I've been seeing anyway. But to me, the actual most important thing that is completely unforgivable and that I think is actually receiving very little traction online is the fact that she was lying about being a licensed therapist, about being a psychologist. And maybe now she's changing her website to say coaching with SADIA or whatever. But let's not forget that her Instagram pages, her YouTube, her entire image was centered about her being a psychologist. She would refer to herself as a psychologist, as a therapist, and would also say that she would give therapy to her online clients, as you can see in the picture. And that to me is completely ruthless and unforgivable. SADIA does not have the necessary qualifications to practice as a therapist, not in the Emirates, not in England either. You guys can go watch AON Preach's video on it, how they interview her, how they confront her about it, and many other people have actually been saying it for a while now, that she's not a licensed therapist at all.
First of all, if someone is claiming to be a therapist, a psychologist, to have a license, you should be asking for their credentials. And if they cannot show them, then that's a problem. That should put your spidey senses up and alert you that something is not right. So I asked for her credentials and I said, if you were able to show them to me, I'm happy to apologize, but she does not have credentials. She was not able to produce them. So I'm not apologizing for asking for her credentials, but I'm just giving you the caveat that you should not even apologize, even if she did have credentials, because anyone who has a license is obligated to respond to people's requests to prove that they're actually who they say they are. That is mandated by the health regulatory boards. So, to be clear, she has zero experience that she claims to have. And the issue is not that she does not have credentials and she's successful or popular and making lots of money. That's fine. Lots of people do that. The problem is that she claims to be a psychologist, to be a trauma expert, to be a psychotherapist, to be a therapist that has clients, and to have a license from the DHA, and she has none of these things. That is a big problem. If you are so blinded by your infatuation with her persona that you don't see the con, I feel really bad for you, because that makes you an easy mark. But even further than that, it probably reflects a little bit on your own integrity. If you don't care that someone is lying about something this significant, the damage that they can do, I mean, basically they're exploiting you. She's exploiting millions of people that she's convinced that she is someone that she is not. If you're okay with that, that's up to you. I'm not okay with that. Are you? You're watching. Tell me below in the comments. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with being exploited by her and by other people? Because I think this is a bigger deal than people are really realizing. And all these podcasts, like Lewis, like who else was she on? Well, I know Chris, and I told him about it, and I'm sure he wouldn't put her on again without making it clear what she is and what she isn't. But Chris Williamson and Tom and Lisa Billy, I'm not sure how to pronounce their name, and there was several other podcasts that are really popular that she's been on. These people who have millions of subscribers and get all these views need to be more accountable, because their media, they're basically endorsing these con artists and frauds to be on their platforms and giving them this audience who then believes what they hear. So just like with other things in regards to, regulation for media, I think they need to be accountable to policies and procedures that require them to verify their guests' credentials if they say they have them. Just show a diploma, show a license. It's really not that difficult, and it's standard practice for anyone who has a license or certification that they're going to be obligated to show it when they're working. So that will make them much more motivated to do so, because then if they get fined when people are found out because they're complicit in it, then they're going to want to avoid those fines, right? So I think that will help the lay people from being exploited, because it's easy when someone is so viral to assume that what they're saying is true. But you have to be diligent, conscientious consumers. Do not just take what you see and hear at face value. Unfortunately, you have to do your own due diligence and dig a little deeper.
Basically, what she did is that she photoshopped a degree, like her master's.
Here it is. This fake fucking Photoshop degree of a master's was on her website, my nigga. It has no date. When do you ever see a degree with no date of issue?
No date.
Do you see the name? That is a clearly photoshopped on top of this degree.
But that is.
Then she took it from somewhere. She took it from here, nigga. This is it right there. It's the same doctor. It's the same everything. That's it. She stole this person's degree. Do you see this Photoshop?
Again, it's the same thing. It's not the same fonts.
So the British Psychology Society is actually real. Oh. It is accredited. It's a serious thing. If you have something that goes through them, that means that you're legit.
The certificate is likely real, as in from COE, but it's not a legitimate credential for psychology practice. The BPS logo is extremely misleading.
What she did was to give herself a more legit feel. She just fucking photoshopped these two together.
and she put on it the logo of the British Psychological Society, and on the same degree she put the logo of the Center for Healing, which is completely unhinged. I think this woman, that's her theme, she's just unhinged, because the British Psychological Society has absolutely nothing to do with the Center for Healing. They're not affiliated in any way, and there is absolutely no way that they would give you a degree from both places because they just don't work together. What happened here is that she likely did complete courses and received diplomas from the Center of Healing, which by the way offers degrees as crazy as herbology and Reiki, holistic, psychic, and supernatural. I've even heard they do stuff on unicorns. I don't even want to know what that is. But the point being is that this center, where she likely did get some diplomas and some courses, it's definitely not qualification enough for you to become a licensed therapist or to go out there saying that you're a psychologist and can actually diagnose people with things and even send them to a psychiatrist so that they can get prescribed medication. I could even sign up today for the Center for Healing thing, which no shade to them at all. And I could even take some of these crystals courses or whatever, or inner child healing courses. And yeah, sure, I could coach people on this, but it does not by any means make me a qualified therapist or psychologist. And that's the part that I'm saying that's completely effed up. That she was claiming to be an actual verified licensed therapist, psychologist from the British Society of the Psychological this and that, when she actually photoshopped her degrees, when she has actually provided zero proof that she is any of these things, that she completed any of these master degrees that she claims to have. To me, that part is absolutely unforgivable because people were paying her thousands just to be on these calls and these online meetings with her. And here's the thing, I don't understand why this woman, who's clearly well-spoken, charismatic, who I'm sure actually has some diplomas in this Center for Healing thing, which good for her, I don't know why she just didn't go out there being a coach. You can absolutely make a living and be respected as an online coach nowadays. There's plenty of them, from Matthew Hussey to a bunch of other dating coaches, people who have no actual degrees in psychology or whatever, but they do have some diplomas and some training in coaching, or maybe they don't, but they claim that they have enough knowledge and life experience to give you coaching, and people actually pay them for it and even get some good experiences out of it. I don't know why she didn't go that route. I don't know why she needed to fake this whole psychology thing, which I'm pretty sure is not even legal to begin with, and charge these crazy prices and base her whole online persona on the fact that she is a psychologist. And that's how she even went to all of these podcasts to begin with. To me, that is crazy and should actually be studied by real psychologists and psychiatrists, because how do you fake your entire identity to this extreme and have the audacity and ego to think that you're never going to be found out? And let's keep in mind that while psychologists are not medical doctors, they are licensed health professionals, and that is not something that you can take lightly at all. Not only faking that you're a psychologist and giving therapy as a result of that is fraud and illegal in most places, but it also presents a great risk of harm. Because think about it, the people who are contacting a psychologist directly instead of a coach or getting advice from people in their lives to begin with, they're probably people who are in a very vulnerable state. And I'm not saying that SADIA couldn't have helped them in some way, though I have heard from people who got advice from her that she wasn't all that helpful. But I'm not saying she couldn't have done that. I'm sure to some she was actually helpful. But it's the fact that the people who paid her and contacted her thought they were doing it to a licensed health professional, which she's not. So she was directly taking advantage of people who were very mentally vulnerable. An unqualified person could not only give harmful advice, but also completely miss signs of very troubling mental health issues. It's also a huge ethical violation that presents a huge betrayal of trust, because again, people are paying her, going to her, thinking that she's trained in this. And the worst part being that there's really not that much accountability. Sure, this is all exploding online now, and I feel like her career will probably never recover from this, but she hasn't really spoken on it, and she's pretty much denying everything at this point, not taking actual accountability. Whereas a person that is licensed, maybe not to be a therapist, but enough to give some coaching advice, they have to respond to someone. If they're seeing that they're violating all these codes of conduct and the like, they can be professionally removed and even fined. They can get in serious trouble. But this woman, where is the accountability here? Where are the consequences? Sure, people are blowing up on her online after a while of her taking advantage of all these people, but it's not like she's gonna pay them back. It's not like all these podcasts of her are going to get removed anytime soon. And I'm sure many people will not even care, and they'll continue paying her for her services. And again, I just don't know why she didn't go the coaching route. And let's remember the difference between the two. Therapy, a therapist, involves being a licensed mental health professional, whereas coaching is just guiding and motivation, something that I'm sure she could have done beautifully if she were not this unhinged, egotistical person. The interesting part here is that psychologists and psychiatrists alike have been calling her out for a while now, saying that she's a fraud, that she's not licensed, that she's taking advantage of people.
As a psychiatrist, I'm literally shocked to see Sadia Khan's responses to constructive, respectful criticism.
And all that she has done is just bully them online, threaten them, and she's actually been doing this to people that would just write on her Instagram as well. I have some crazy examples here. This woman, she commented on Sadia's TikTok. She was like, they cheat even when you love them unconditionally. She's talking about men. Doesn't really matter where she says, but the point is that Sadia responds like, you have never had a man love you, and it shows. And it's all like without punctuation, which I think, you know, in my last video I did say I always knew she wasn't qualified because she just didn't really sound or write the way that a qualified therapist with actual education would. Like, this woman does not know how to use a comma or a period or good grammar to begin with. But anyway, just the fact that she's always going for the personal attacks, you know? You have never had a man love you, and it shows. If you did, you would know him loving you loads. And she goes on. It just gets so much worse. Let's take a look at this thread. It says, Redditors exposing Sadia Khan. Here she is fighting with someone because I guess they disagree with her, and she's like, yeah, I'm happily married and you're a corn addict. And then she's like, cuck. And then someone said she divorced 4 times. And she's like, I'm guessing you're speaking about your own mother. It's all very infantile, very low class really, which is funny because she was always talking about high value this and high value that.
A woman who is able to predict the needs of the people around her, whether that's her mum, dad, husband, child, she can predict their needs and looks forward to looking after them. So if she knows that her mum is not well, so she'll, you know, do something to help make her feel better. She knows her husband's hungry, so food is ready. She knows that her child is crying, so she's there to soothe the child. She predicts the needs of the people around her.
And some people just seem to miss the point with this. They're like, I don't actually know where she went wrong. Where did she call herself a high value this and that?
Guys, am I missing something? Why is everyone hating on Sadia Khan? Everyone knows that coaches don't play. Also, coaches don't play. First of all, it's essentially a quid pro quo fallacy to believe that just because someone preaches something that they have to follow it.
And it's the fact to me that she does not whatsoever practice what she preaches. She would go on all these podcasts talking about being a healthy person and charging people to give advice, but she herself, you can see here, is extremely infantile, very rude, and just cannot take any criticism without going directly for the person, like attacking them, which again is such a sign that this woman was not a psychologist. I've never seen a therapist who wants to gather online clients treating people like this. I mean, your priority as a therapist should be putting yourself in the shoes of others. If you have no empathy, how are you going to be a therapist to begin with? And she has so little empathy that she would just go attacking people right away in their face. It's almost comical. Anyway, we see here, please show her the comments. You cock man left calling a woman bitch and all sorts of brokey. You're not the target audience. Stick to your corn hub. What? Someone's like, why does she constantly have horribly inaccurate perspectives? And she's like, because my content is for attractive men. You won't get it. Like, what is this crazy? What is this? She's just unhinged. Like, I have never seen somebody who's best defined by the word unhinged than Sadia Khan. It's like you look up unhinged in the dictionary and her face comes up. Anyway, someone DM'd her saying, sorry, but I agree with that girl. Basically being extremely polite and just having some constructive disagreements with her. You know, the person's like, sorry, but I agree with that girl. Especially when it comes to a profession like yours, just giving my opinion. But yeah, ultimately it's your decision. Happy face. Extremely polite, pretty sweet. I mean, there's nothing crazy here. She could have just not answered. I don't know why she has to get so wired up and answer these people. And she's like, because you're brokey and entitled, so I asked somebody who gives endless free advice and is incredibly popular online to lower my prices so broke people like yourself can endlessly book me and I have no time off. Again, let's remember that this woman has become non-broke, you know, because she keeps looking down on broke people. She has stopped being broke by taking advantage of people who are mentally vulnerable enough to hire someone who advertises herself as a psychologist, but actually isn't one. That's how she stopped being broke. I would rather be broke any day, and I don't want to be broke evidently, but I would rather be broke any day than be this completely unethical, unhinged person. If the way that you're making money is by taking advantage of mentally vulnerable people who have serious issues and need some guidance from a psychologist, then you have absolutely nothing to be proud of. Anyway, she goes on and she could have just not answered, as we know, but she has to attack people personally. She says, "You're a broke tramp, go stick to somebody on your level." This stuff is so ghetto. She is so ghetto.
A woman who is able to predict the needs of the people around her.
She's so low class. She's always talking about high value this and high class this, and has this accent, and you would think she is very classy because of the way she comes off online, and then she's saying this kind of stuff. "You're a broke tramp, go stick to somebody on your level." Girl, you should be the one. You should be the one sticking to people on your level, evidently. Anyway, she's like, "Entitled, ungrateful, and broke. Stop taking things for free and then expecting more discount, you absolute tramp." And the girl above, she just said something like, "Sorry, but I agree with that girl, especially when it comes to a profession like yours. Just giving my opinion. But yeah, ultimately it's your decision, happy face." She said something like that, and Sadia Khan's like, "You're broke, damn, go stick to somebody on your level." Absolutely insane. Anyway, I believe it's the same person. She answers and she's like, "You don't speak like you do on your videos." Yeah, she definitely doesn't, does she?
She can predict their needs and looks forward to looking after them.
"There was no need to be angry or disrespectful. I never said it should be free, but I felt that £550 for an hour session is too much." And she's right. She's right. I mean, coaches can charge as much as she wants, but psychologists, the licensed ones that do give sessions online, they don't typically charge these crazy prices because it is kind of unethical. And if they do it more so under coaching than under online therapy. Anyway, she says, "For an hour session is too much, but again, it's your life, your profession. I just share an opinion." You're not allowed to share an opinion with Sadia Khan. If you do, all hell's gonna break loose. "This wasn't just about you, but about mental health in general. Health issues don't care whether you're rich or broke, and verbally abusing like this isn't out for a psychologist, Sadia." Good for her. Good for her for calling her out. Let's see. I have not read this. I'm scared. I'm scared to see what her response is gonna be. She's like, "It's too much for you because you're a cheap and entitled tramp." What the fuck? "It's not a progression that is for free, especially when I'm viral on the internet, so I should be a charity case for people like you." Again, she has absolutely no knowledge of how to use punctuation, and we're supposed to believe that she's this extremely educated and highly qualified professional. You can really tell she's very insecure because she keeps pushing this idea that she's better because she's not broke and because she's viral on the internet. Like, who cares? That doesn't make you better than anybody. Anyway, she's like, "Get out of here. You do nothing for free for others, and because you're cheap, you want high quality for cheap. So doctors should be cheap for tramps like you." This woman is absolutely crazy. Look, I've been doing YouTube for quite a few years now on my Spanish channel, and I have received plenty of comments throughout the years saying things like, you don't actually care about your audience because if you did, you wouldn't prioritize clickbaity thumbnails or whatever. Or just basically people having a problem with the fact that this is a job and they would just expect me to do it for free and not make my thumbnails or my edits or my topics or my titles or whatever it is as attractive as possible to generate views, because that is how I make my living. And I'm not talking about pure unethical clickbait, that's something else. But the point being is that I would just ignore those people and move on with my life as she should have done. I will never like message them and be like, "Oh, you crazy tramp, you expect me to do this for free?" Like, I may have those thoughts, but I'm self-controlled and self-regulated and mature enough and simply just don't care enough to go attack random people online. I mean, they're entitled to their opinion. I don't know why she's doing this. It's actually really crazy. Anyway, this is the Center of Excellence thing that we're referring to. It says, "Looked up Center of Excellence where most of her diplomas come from, and they also offer diplomas in cryptozoology," don't want to know what that is, "unicorn energy, and angel magic." I'm howling. And yeah, guys, as I was saying earlier, this is the page of the Center of Excellence. Absolutely no shade to them. I kind of feel bad for them now because people are going to associate them with Sadia Khan and they might not take them seriously, which there's absolutely no reason not to take them seriously. They're not promising to be something that they're not. They're not saying that if you take one of these courses, it seems now that I'm like sponsored by them. I'm definitely not. But they're not saying that if you take one of these courses, you're all of a sudden a licensed therapist by any means. But I'm sure because of the Sadia Khan propaganda, they probably not want to be affiliated with her at all. But anyway, they do have interesting courses like addiction psychology, advanced shadow mastery, anthropology. I would actually like to take some of these now that I think about it. Attachment theory, behavioral psychology. In a few months, I'm the one that's charging to get coaching for me from these things. Anyway, child psychology, color theory, criminal psychologist. They do have some cool stuff for sure. But then they just have all sorts of courses then that are a bit more woo-woo, you know? They have holistic facials, gua sha, makeup artistry. They basically have courses for absolutely everything. But once again, they're not claiming. They have Reiki here on the side, if you can see. Herbalism, crystals, psychic and supernatural, Reiki, holistic. not absolutely nothing wrong with them or with taking one of these courses, but the problem is, of course, that you can't take a course in, I don't know, ADHD awareness or advanced autism awareness or any of these and then claim to be an expert who's licensed to deal with children with these issues. That would be completely unethical. And same thing goes for Sadia. I think at this point, given everything that has come out, it's safe to say that she is a con artist, a can artist, like people are saying online. And I do hope that she loses all credibility on the things that she says. Not because they're not valid, like I'm sure she has said some cool stuff that does apply to real life, but because she's just simply not licensed to give it in the way that she was pretending to be. And I do hope to God that there's some sort of accountability or consequences for the people that hired her services thinking that she was indeed a therapist, because that's actually, I don't know, I think she's actually able to get sued at this point. I mean, if I were somebody who paid all this money to talk to her, which is, it's criminal in itself. No offense, like if you're dumb enough to pay $8,000 to talk to an online coach or therapist without seeing their qualifications, it's kind of on you at that point, but it's still a very horrible thing for her to do. And if I were that kind of a person who paid her all that money, and now I'm finding out all of this stuff, that it's all fake, I would be suing her to get my money back. So she's probably in deep trouble at this point now that I think about it, because she has lied about being a therapist, which is fraudulent and illegal. And she's also given therapy, and she herself has called it therapy, to people under the basis, the false one, that she was a psychologist. So anyway, I'm sure we'll be hearing more about this case. At least I hope so. I really do hope there's some sort of accountability, because if not, I'm actually going to lose all hope in humanity. And I don't want that. There's really got to be consequences for con artists, for can artists as well. So yeah, I would like to hear what you guys think about this. Give me your likes, give me your comments, subscribe, and I will see you very soon.